Okay, I've got an oil filter here. I just took out of my truck. It was an absolute nightmare. This is a 2000 Silverado. It was an absolute nightmare to get this filter out. I'd put it on too tight because I'd had a couple incidents before of oil filters coming loose on my truck. I don't like to take it to my truck to the oil change spot like Walmart or what have you because they put in really cheap low grade oil. So, anyways, but this is a cheap AC Delco filter. Supposedly, I guess that's OEM. But anyways, I put it on really tight because I'd had a couple incidents of it coming loose and leaking some oil out. So I took this one on there extremely tight last time, and then of course oil getting black. I wanted to go remove it with this tool here, as you can see, and you pull the handle like this, and it's supposed to spin off. Except for what happened was it was so tight it ended up basically crushing this. I also covered with painter's tape to try to get grip. That's another technique I used that, I don't know, I had mixed results. I'm not sure if that ended up being what finally did it. Was I did finally figure out how to finally do it. Pulling a little painter's tape off here. But so this was basically useless. Now I've got a 4x4, so I actually ended up, to get this to work, I actually ended up dropping my axle that goes to the, not the axle, but the drive shaft that goes to the front axle. But that's, not every truck's like that. But anyways, so this just crushed it and didn't really work. I tried, doing this got me nowhere. I tried a couple pairs of big pliers. I could grab them over there, but I don't need to. You believe me, they did even less. They did nothing. I tried a trick I saw on the internet. I started looking at things on the internet, and I tried a trick where I got this, and I, tie it to itself, and I wrapped it around like this, and then you get your wrench. You wrap this around your oil filter, and you get your wrench, and you twirl the wrench on it. And then you get your other wrench to use as leverage, and you start twirling it around like this, and that's supposed to loosen it. But I could hear popping noises, and it seemed like it was doing something, but it didn't really get me where I wanted to go. And it also started crushing the upper area, because before I just crushed the bottom area. Now I crushed the upper area. And of course, as you can see right here, I also tried another technique I saw on the internet, where you stab it through with a flathead screwdriver, pound it in with a hammer, and then try to twist it, and it just started ripping the metal. It was going nowhere quickly, and I realized it was going to make things worse. So I went down to O'Reilly, and I grabbed this oil filter wrench, Pennzoil. This thing, the was not very strong. You're supposed to use a breaker bar with it, and within just a few seconds of pulling, it nearly ripped it in half already. So let's see if they're going to be willing to give me my money back on this one. It's $7.50 over at O'Reilly. Doesn't do a lot. It's just not very strong. What I finally ended up figuring out how to do this myself. What the problem was is once this is crushed, this wrench becomes really kind of almost useless. Because it's got to squeeze down really low. And what happens is, usually you're supposed to get leverage by pulling like this, but if this is crushed, it squeezes down so small when you pull, it's literally bending over back. You see, it goes past the point of 90 degrees, and it's literally coming past 90 degrees from this and turning forward, and it started to. If you can see right here, these two pieces of metal, when you go past 90 degrees on this, pulling this way, they start to squeeze together, and they start to crush. And I've had to repeatedly pull them apart with pliers to get them back apart because this thing was collapsing on me. Actually, I considered throwing it away, but once I figured out what I could do, this thing, by the way, I pulled it back out and it still works on the filter. On a regular tightening of a filter, you can't use it super tight. These two metal tabs will squeeze together. And how I've solved that problem I solved both those problems. First of all, I got this 19 millimeter hex head. I don't know what you call this. It's a certain type of socket. It has a hex head. I was able to put this in between this slot. As you can see, it just barely fits in there. And then taking some tape, you wrap it right here. And tape it on there. Now that's not meant to hold it for a lifetime, it's just meant to hold it for a minute or two while you do this. So now it's held in there, so this thing cannot, these two tabs cannot come together now because this hex is in between there. So we've solved that problem, sort of. We still have the problem that this thing is a little loose on here, being all squished and crushed like this, and it feels like this thing's useless. So what I did was, first of all, you get scared that you're going to mash your fingers in this whole contraption here when it comes over. So, you know, I definitely recommend putting a heavy-duty glove on your hand that holds this onto the oil filter. That way you can hold your hand up here to keep this from slipping back and forth. It tries to slip. You grab it with your hand and you grab this socket all together like this. Then you could just pull the whole thing like this. Still, you have the gap in here. You can see from the being crushed, it won't fit. So how I solved that was surprising. I got little Mr. 11 millimeter combination wrench. Put that in between. As you can see, and I actually think that putting the teeth of this up here at the edge of the filter, the one little part of the filter that's not crushed, helped it dig in. So you put that in there, and you grab the whole contraption, it's a handful, and you pull, and I'll tell you right now, that sucker will grip. And it will grip, and you can pull it around like that and twist it that way, and it'll come off with this very common oil wrench that you see ones just like this everywhere. But like I said, with this wrench in there, being a spacer in there, it will, you can use this on a crushed oil filter and get it off. After I went through so much time trying to get this thing off with all these different levers and techniques that didn't work and things that I saw on YouTube. So I almost didn't even make this video, but I decided, here's me right here. I decided to make this video because no one else made this video. So if I had seen this video, it would have saved me a lot of time because I had to bicycle 2.5 miles down to the auto parts store and back. So anyways, hope y'all are able to use this and make use of it, and have a good day.